Well, good morning, good afternoon, or to everybody here in the UK, good evening, and welcome to the April live stream. My name's John Tracy, and for the next 45 or 50 minutes, I've got something pretty cool to share with you. Now, today we're going to do something very similar to what we did last month, but I want to try and take some of your questions, certainly some of those that people have given me in advance and given me a little bit of time to prepare for. So, maybe just to start, if there's anybody who's on the stream wants to jump in the chat and let me know where you're coming in from, then please do pop in the chat and say hello. But the sort of plan for today is to run through some of the questions that have come out in advance. And obviously we've got a bit more time on a live stream to discuss them than we would normally do in the comments. We'll then go through and look at all the stats for the month. What did we generate? How much energy did we use? How much money did we make for good causes? And then if we've got time at the end and anyone still has questions, then I'm very happy to answer them at that point. So let's start with some of the questions that have come up over the last month. And there's kind of three that I think I must have been asked a dozen times some of these questions. I was struggling to get the data because SolarEdge aren't the greatest at providing apps that work consistently. We actually had a really a kind of a period where they were moving over to a new look and feel to the app. So that means that we get a period where we just couldn't get the data out of the system. So what I've actually started doing is now pulling the data down as soon as I can get it. And I wanted to just show you this graph. Now I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail in an upcoming video. But this is my north-facing array for the whole of last year. So starting in January 2024 all the way through to December. Now you can see there at the ends of the year and the beginning of the new year, we really didn't generate an awful lot from that north-facing array. Basically it was ambient light because for those of us in the UK will know we just generally get grey overcast days. But you can start to see the contribution there from the north-facing arrays as we go up into June. They start to provide a significant amount of extra energy. And if you've got the ability to add panels on a north-facing aspect of your roof, what you'll notice is your generation days go from like 5:30 in the morning, sometimes through till 8, 9 o'clock at night in the heights of June. So a lot more information to come for this, but when I averaged it out across the whole year, it basically added another 48% to the entire generation of my entire system. So north-facing panels, big thumbs up from me. Now, the next one's, how's the fence-mounted experiment going and what's next? So we're coming up in May, the end of May will be the 1 year first year with having solar panels on the fence. Again, a couple of recent videos on there. Is it me or do you sound like Norman Collier? I don't know. I don't know what I sound like. I do have a bit of a raspy voice today, so I do apologize for that. But fence-mounted solar panels working really well at this time of the year. Obviously, with the new EcoFlow tracker in place, one of the panels is producing about 20% more energy than it did before. But overall, it's looking really good, and it's kind of leading me down a path to my next part of the project. Now, I'm going to give you a sneak peek in a moment, but we're going to wait till the end of May. I'm going to look at the data, and I'm going to see exactly what it would have cost, how much energy we produced, is it going to be worth me taking the next step? And the next step looks something like this. So this is a company, I believe they're called Jax Panels. I may have got the name slightly wrong there. These are, I originally thought these were bifacial panels, so you'd have panels on the other side, but that might upset your neighbors, so they're not. They're single-facing panels. But they slot into a standard fencing system. So I can take these panels and I can literally remove the panels from my existing fence and drop these in place. I still need to know a little bit more about the wiring and how this is going to work. But if the numbers stack up, then come the summer, we might be doing something like this. So another question that comes up a lot is, are you sponsored by Octopus? I know I talk about Octopus a lot. Octopus, I think, are one of the best energy companies in this country. But no, I am not sponsored by Octopus. In fact, I know nobody at Octopus. I've not been in touch with anybody at Octopus other than to buy my heat pump and as a customer of their energy. So it's, yes, an absolute no. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get any kickbacks from them. And in fact, all the money that we generate through people using my referral codes, which we're going to see a little bit of in the moment, all of that stuff comes straight into the pot and is going straight to good causes. Now, I do have a couple of potential new sponsors for the channel who I'm talking to at the moment. So keep an eye out for those. More information to share on those in the near future. So let's say, hey, I've just seen Robin pop up. Hi, Robin. How you doing? From Lincolnshire. She's probably enjoying. Is Robin? Sorry, I don't know if I said she then. I assumed that you were a lady. I'm assuming you're having the beautiful evenings that we're having here in Cambridgeshire right now with lots of sunshine right through to the end of the day. But let's see how we're doing. So for those that don't know, my net zero challenge was a challenge that I set myself back in December last year, was to have zero energy bills in 2025. I think we've got our system tuned in such a way now that we won't see any energy bills, and from where things are looking for certainly the last couple of weeks, I think we're on track for that. But my plan is I want to take that money that we generate over and above what the electricity bill costs, and I want to give that to good causes. But I also want some other ways of generating some money, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about in a minute, and you'll see how much we've got accrued in the pot. Yeah, Robin said Jackson Panels. That's the one. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name, but yeah, that's what my plan is, and obviously I have to get it through the Chief Financial Controller. She doesn't know anything about this yet, so I'm hoping she's not watching this live stream. Al's joining us from Meath in Ireland. Yeah, it's been glorious the last couple of weeks. I'm just fingers crossed it stays like this all year. Anyway, so as I said, for 2025, I wanted to have zero energy bills, but that's to be seen. We'll see exactly what happens. Oh, it's Rob Lynn. Okay, so my apologies, Robert. I looked at it and read Robin, so my apologies. Sorry about that. And as I said, all of the surplus from this is going to go to good causes. So the way we're going to do this is, obviously, we're going to generate as much power as we possibly can. We're going to export everything that we don't use. Now, I'm not going to live like a hermit for the whole year. I'm not just going to turn everything off and export every possible kilowatt hour I can. But our system has got 9.6 kilowatts of panels. As you can see there, the big picture, that's our rear-facing roof. They're all 440 watt panels. There's 10 of those. On the front roof, there is 8 395 watt panels, and then on the garage roof, there's another 4 395 watt panels as well. All of those go into a 10 kilowatt inverter, and then these three monsters, which are my Solar Edge batteries, will fill up, and these get me through the winter nights without having to draw too much of that very expensive prime rate electricity. I'll put my hand up now. I do have a bit of a battery problem. So I also have another 7 kilowatts of EcoFlow batteries, plus another couple of batteries that you'll learn more about in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I've really got to get on top of this battery problem. If somebody says to me, would you like another battery? The answer is always yes, even if I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, the fence mounted system also has 7 kilowatts of EcoFlow batteries on there as well. So we can pull in the winter, we can pull in nearly 37 kilowatts of power, store it during the day, and use that to run the house. In the summer, those batteries fill up in a heartbeat. In fact, these last few weeks, I don't think they've ever dropped below about 80%. And then we're off to the races exporting energy. So last year, it was a pretty miserable year last year. And in fact, we had a bit of work, so our system was offline for about a week, but we generated about nearly 5.5 megawatt hours of energy. I'm expecting to absolutely smash this number this year if this weather keeps up with the way it's been going. So the way I'm measuring this was my energy bill on the 1st of January. So £122.99 was in credit in my account. And that's exactly what I'm going to use as a zero marker. So on the 31st of December, there will be at least £122.99 in the account. And we will take all of the surplus and make sure it goes to good causes. Now, as I say, when I say we will make sure, I want you guys to be part of this. And I'll show you why I want you to be part of it, because you are a bigger part of this than you already know. I really want to make a difference in somebody's life with this money, or multiple people's lives in this money. So I don't just want to hand it over to a large charity where it will get soaked up in their, admin fees or anything like that. I think we have a really good opportunity here just to make somebody's Christmas, or make multiple people's Christmases, and maybe wipe out a load of people who are in negative equity with their energy bills at the moment. But as we get closer to the end of the year, I will certainly ask you all for your opinions on what we should be doing with this money. Now, as I said, how can you participate? Well, you already are. As I said at the beginning of the year, my plan with this YouTube channel is every single penny that I make from this YouTube channel this year will go into that pot as well. So last month, you guys did a sterling job of watching videos. I'm sure you're all sick of the sound of my voice by now, but YouTube are about to send me another £720, which will go into the pot. We've got another £20 there from Amazon links. Both Les from Wigan, Les keeps buying me cups of coffee, and I don't know who ETA is, but from the Netherlands, Egbert, thank you very much. Again, all of that money goes into the pot as well, as do anybody who uses my referral codes. And we've had a whole pile of those, both people who are transferring across to Octopus, and there's a £50 credit for those, and people who are getting a heat pump installed, and there's a £100 credit for those. So when we look at the month, you can see there's an awful lot of money ended up into that pot. So if I total all of that up, and as I say, just to be clear, I have to pay tax on all of this. I still have a full-time job, but I will cover the tax on it. So 100% of this money will be going to good causes. Austin, Godwin, Nicholas and Chris actually lives around the corner from me, all used referral codes, plus there was one other which I didn't get notified by Octopus who it was, so thank you all for using those referral codes. And if anyone wants to use my referral codes, they're on the screen there, but they'll also be in the descriptions of all of my videos, so you can use them there. There is actually one thing that's changed. So Octopus are not being as generous as they used to be. It used to be if you use the referral code, and they would literally pay the £100 bounty straight away. And now they're only paying it when somebody actually goes all the way through and ends up getting the heat pump installed. So it takes a little longer to get the referral code. But don't let that stop you. If you are planning to get a heat pump or solar panels, you can use that bottom referral code for solar panels as well. Then all of that money will end up in the pot for the good causes. And as I say, just thank you all for watching the videos. Whether you're a Premier subscriber, so you don't get the ads, we still get a contribution from that. Or if you do sit through all of the ads that YouTube seems to be shoving in everybody's face, then that's all helping towards the pot. So you guys contributed a grand total of £1,095.43, and I'm absolutely blown away with that. So thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with me for another month. And again, that goes into our pot. So the pot is currently sitting at £2,265.98. Now, if we can keep that up for the rest of the year, we're going to make somebody's life change come this Christmas, because I think there'll be enough money in that pot there to maybe change a dozen people's lives and help them out of their energy debt. Anyway, we'll talk more about that at the end of the year. So let's talk about my personal challenge, my net zero challenge. So obviously January and February were a little bit difficult, but what a March we had. We didn't actually use very much less energy than we did in February. I mean, it's been gloriously sunny out there, but here in Cambridgeshire, it has been cold in the morning. In fact, this morning we got up, it was below freezing, but the rest of the day makes up for it. So we still used roughly the same amount of energy that we used in February, about 5% less. So for those that don't know, the way I sort of run my house is we're on Octopus Intelligent Go. So we get the 6 hours of cheap rate electricity at night time. I fill my batteries. Now, during January and February, I was importing 30 kilowatts a day and storing it in the batteries. About now, we're importing about 6 at night time just to top the batteries right up. So next month, I expect that to go down. But in March, we used about the same amount. You can see that we used just over a megawatt of power. Now, we do have 2 electric cars, so we do pull a lot of power in to run those as well. And obviously the heat pump, when it's cold, uses quite a bit of power as well. To put that into numbers, so we spent about £93.04 on electricity. So yeah, not a huge amount. I say roughly the same as we did, about just 5% less than we did in February. But the big difference was what we exported. So we exported 740 kilowatt hours of energy in March, which when I show you the graph in a minute is amazing. It's not just better than any March we've ever exported. It's better than a year ago in April. I'm just amazed at how well, obviously it's been really sunny, so we've been able to get a lot of power from it. But yeah, that gave us an export credit of £111.14. So you can see at the bottom there, we exported 625 kilowatt hours more than we did in February, because February was pretty miserable. Gas, we still haven't got rid of our gas, even though we've got the heat pump installed. This pains me. I know it's not a lot of money, but it pains me every month when I see that about 80% of my bill is the standing charge. The whole bill was only £11.17. So this is what it looked like. So we ended up in a negative number. So we bought in £93, we bought in £11 worth of gas, and we exported £114. We didn't get any free energy sessions from Octopus that month. So we ended up £9.93 better off. So we're starting to eat in now to that January and February numbers. So I think, by the end of April, beginning of May, we will have written off that debt and we'll be into positive territory. And then come June, July and August, I intend to absolutely smash that number. So come the end of the year, I'm hoping to see that number being green and, again, more money for the pot. So that's all the updates I had. As I say, we do these live streams every month, and the main reason I want to do them live, I could just record this and put it in a video, is I do want to take the opportunity for you guys, if you have any questions, that I can answer them live for you. But also by presenting the numbers live, it kind of keeps me honest. It makes me make sure that I've got all accounted for, everything, all of the referrals that everyone's put in. So I want to make sure that that it's done properly. So let me move across the screen there. And again, if you guys have questions, pop them in the chat here. And then so what I can actually do is I can literally just pick them up from there and I can just drop you on the screen if there are any questions there. So again, apologies to Rob or Robin. I will call you sir from now on. I feel really, really bad about that, but I appreciate your good humour on it. So here we go. So we actually do have a Robin this time. If we didn't have solar the last 3 weeks, I've charged my over 40 kilowatts in the last 6. Yeah, it's been incredible. In fact, let me try something. I just want to see if I can bring up my iPad on the screen there. So this is an app this is my go-to app every single day. This is an app called Octopus Watch, and you can see here it gives you every single day. And if you look there, every single day for the last week, they've all been negative. If I scroll down, negative, negative, negative. So we've got to go back nearly 2 weeks to a day where we actually had to pay for our electricity at 27p. Now, this is a paid app. If you want this, I think it's £7 a year, something like that. It's not crazy. But again, it can give you some quite detailed information. So here's yesterday. So you can see when I'm pulling in energy at the beginning and the end of the day. Those are the beginning and end of the cheap period. How much we pulled in, what it cost, how much we used, peak rate, all of that kind of information, what we exported, a ton of information in there, and you can build some quite detailed reports out of this app. So yeah, if you don't know about Octopus Watch, it's certainly, I think, a really good app. But yeah, may these days, these long days of sunshine just continue. Okay, a good course of monetary values. Yeah, so Rob, I totally agree with you. And it's down to you guys. Honestly, when I started this channel, I had no idea that this was even possible. To be honest, I did it because I thought it was a bit of fun. I was having the heat pump installed. I had a YouTube channel for probably 7-8 years. And if you go back far enough in my channel, you'll find a load of videos of a drones over a construction site. When they built the new A14 going through Cambridgeshire, I documented it for about a 5-year period just with drone videos. Didn't really do anything with it for a couple of years. Then all of a sudden decided I'm gonna see if I can make some videos, and you guys have been fantastic. The support has been phenomenal, and yeah, the ability to raise money I think has just been superb. What if it went viral and you ended up with several million? Yeah, I might start doing helicopter videos at that point. To be honest, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I think if something like that happened and there was a lot more money, then to be honest, I would probably have to bring in help, because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm not an accountant. Would you cover the tax? That's a very good question. I honestly, I hadn't thought that far ahead. If I'm being totally honest about this, no, I hadn't thought that far ahead. If it goes completely viral, yeah, I think the first thing I would need is an accountant, and then we would figure out the rest of it there. So yeah, maybe I need to put a little caveat on the bottom of the screen that says I'll cover the tax up to a certain value, just to make sure that I don't get into trouble with that. But yeah. So if anyone's got any other questions, by all means throw them in the chat, and I will certainly do my best to answer them. Robin did 815 kilowatts. That's just amazing. What size array is yours, Robin? How many kilowatts peak have you got? This will be. I'll be able to tell now whether it was sunnier in Lincolnshire than it was here in Cambridgeshire. Probably take a few seconds. I'm starting to get used to the latency on the stream. So for those that don't know, in my professional life, I work for a company called Logitech, people that make these things, and we spend our whole life on Zoom. So doing a stream, I'm not used to the seconds of latency. I'm used to stuff coming back quite quickly. So yeah, Robin's got 8.5 kilowatts all south. Yeah, that's so you're going to definitely take advantage of these beautiful sunny days like that. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday who's got a perfect east-west facing roof. So they have no south-facing roof whatsoever, and their house is actually perfectly aligned east-west facing. And a lot of the solar installers told him, no, we won't put panels on your roof. It's not worth it. So I sat him down with an app and sort of showed him how you could model it, and we figured out he's going to have an amazingly long day. The app shows, instead of the standard curve that you would see on a south-facing roof, it kind of goes up, and then there's a dip in the middle at midday as the sun transitions across the peak of the roof, and then it picks up and goes all the way into the evening. And it gave him, in the height of the summer, he was looking at 12 to 14 hour generation days with that. So pretty amazing. Anybody else? So while if anyone's got questions, let me just pull up my my SolarEdge app, and so as you can see there, that's the. It's a little bit difficult. I can't really zoom it in very much, but that's been this month so far. So yeah, we've had some only one day where we've been below 40 kilowatt hours. So yeah, all good, and like I say, long may this continue. Let's have a look. So David's saying south versus east-west, which is best? Yeah, if you can do both, do both. Obviously, if you've got a pure 100% south-facing roof, then cover the thing. Every inch that you can get panels on it, cover the whole thing from side to side. With our roofs, and in fact, I can probably show you the orientation actually. If I go back to the iPad there, so you can see there the orientations of our roofs. So we're kind of northeast facing on the front there, which are these panels up here. Sort of orientation of about 59 degrees, and then these ones on the back here, they're sort of southwest facing, and then the garage roof is southeast facing. So we do get the long days because the sun rises in the northeast in the summer and tracks round. So you can see there. I mean, even on where are we? Early April, we're getting more than 50% on the north-facing panels. So if you've got perfect east-west, you're going to get that whole day as it tracks right round. But obviously, pure south-facing is going to be the best. Actually, a question came up the other day, which I hadn't considered, is if you do have a perfect south-facing roof, is it worth putting the panels on a perfect north-facing roof? And actually, looking at the modelling, I don't think it is, because obviously, as I said, the sun, even at the height of the summer, the sun rises in the sort of the northeast, and it very quickly tracks around to the south. So you're gonna get sun from the side of the north panel. So if you imagine if that diagram was sort of turned a little bit, the sun would be coming from the side on those and would immediately move around to the south. So I'm not sure in a pure north-south arrangement whether north panels would ever actually pay for themselves, but this works for me. But yeah, if you're doing it on the ground and you've got the space, you could put. I would still do south first. Get a big south-facing array as best you can. Okay, let me. So let's have a. Sorry, I'm getting behind here. I'm talking too much. Friend of ours is a perfect east-west roof next. Yeah, well, that's a big system. Yeah, 12 kilowatt inverter. I was trying to find a 12 kilowatt inverter when I had mine installed, because for those that don't know, we used to have two systems. We had the old Fit system, which was a 2 kilowatt system, and then we put in another system, and I didn't pay attention during the installation. To be honest, I didn't really know an awful lot about G98 and G99 approvals at the time. So the installer just shoved a 3.6 kilowatt inverter in alongside the 2 kilowatt, which seemed fine, but it just, with the amount of batteries we had, it just didn't make sense. I could never fully charge or fully discharge the batteries. So when we rejigged the system, we got rid of it, and I went to a 10 kilowatt inverter. And to be honest, if I'd have had the chance to put a 12 in, I would have put a 12 in as well. Just when if you think about the overnight periods in the winter, especially if you've got electric cars, and as we have a heat pump as well, you don't want to be pulling a sustained 10 kilowatts of power for 6-7 hours. So I want to be able to get the batteries charged in the first 3 hours of the slot. Then we can charge our electric cars and other things in the remaining part of that slot. Burn, baby, burn. I'm 4 days into having solar and not got a feed-in tariff. So just be careful of the use feed-in tariff, because it means different things to different people. So what you're really looking for is an export tariff. Feed-in tariff is something, it was a government scheme that started, I think, pre-2010 and went to about 2018, which meant that if you bought a solar system then, you could get paid an awful lot of money for the energy you generate. Now, 2 kilowatts of my system is still on that feed-in tariff, and I will protect it with my life because it makes me a lot of money. But yeah, what you're looking for is an export tariff. Now, sounds like you're new to solar, just be aware, when I had because we had a brand new meter put in by Octopus, and I thought, well, they'll just turn on the export meter and we'll be ready to go. It took them 3 months. By the time they applied to the DNO for what's called the MPAN number for that, they got that. It literally took them 3 months, and I was exporting energy all summer long and didn't get paid for it. So yeah, if you haven't got one and you haven't started the process, the quicker you do it, the quicker they'll get it done. Yeah. Exactly my problem last summer was I didn't have that export tariff in place, and all June and July I was basically giving them 30 kilowatts a day for free. I gotta say, I love some of those. Jabba D Spud. North Central Arizona, you must get a lot of sunshine. Last time I was in Arizona, it literally burnt the skin off my back. Wow. Yeah. And most people don't realise, especially people in the UK, we look at the US and we think, well, we're roughly at the same latitude as they are. We're not at all. Arizona is way south. It's Spain south compared to where we are. If you look at a map and you actually look at a globe and you trace the lines of longitude around, you'll find the UK is roughly equivalent to the Hudson Bay in Canada. So we are a long way north compared to central Arizona. As I say, as Jonathan says, fill your roof. Biggest mistake I made was not when I put the original 2 kilowatt system in. So those panels that are now sitting on my fence outside, was that I didn't fill the roof. I just again went with what the installer said. This was back in 2010, and I put 2 kilowatt panels on. I could have got a lot more on the roof then. Right now, I have the absolute max roof space that I can get. A panel in every possible position. Now I want more roof space. I'm trying to convince the chief financial controller that we want a pergola in the garden because I can put panels on the roof of that. Yeah, Robin, the feed-in tariff right now, I was saying earlier on about it pays a lot of money. It's paying over 70 pence a kilowatt. So for every kilowatt, so put it, like I say, that was originally on my 2 kilowatt system. So now my 10 kilowatt system, it's actually about 18% of that. We get paid 70 pence for every single kilowatt we generate, whether we use it or not. So if you use it, you save you buying it, you really could be getting nearly 90p a kilowatt by the time you take into account the standard tariff. So that's why people on the feed-in tariff, we're very protective of it. Dave, I'm with E.ON. Yeah, so this is something that a lot of people don't realise is your import and export tariffs, although they go through the same physical meter, can be with different providers. You can have your export tariff with whoever you want. You're not, and again, even if Octopus installs your hardware, you don't have to go with them. You can move export providers. So I know E.ON have I believe a slightly, we get paid 15 pence on Octopus. I believe it's about 16.5 pence per kilowatt on E.ON. So again, a lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, actually, they've got slightly better prices. They've got slightly longer cheap periods. It can look very, very tempting. And I've seen a lot of people jump ship. I've also seen a lot of people recently jumping ship to Tomato Energy. I don't know if you guys have seen what's been going on. Recently, Rebel Energy went bust a couple of weeks ago. Tomato Energy put something up on their website that said they're no longer taking new customers. Which would ring every alarm bell that I've got if I was a customer of theirs. Just to let you know, if you are with a provider that goes bust, and this has happened to a lot of people, you get moved across to something called the provider of last resort, which means that the Ofgem will then basically hand you over to another company. You don't get any say in it. It might be Octopus, it might be somebody else, it might be E.ON, but if that company goes bust, you get handed over, and it can take about 9 months for them to figure out all the paperwork, all the billing and everything like that. And while you're there, you're on the standard tariff. So all of those people that jump to Tomato, now I'm not saying Tomato is going to go bust, but there are warning signs right now. If it will be financially bad for you to be put on a standard tariff because you've got an EV, you've got a heat pump, all that kind of stuff, then I would think about getting off of them. They may recover from it, I don't know. But if they're not taking on new customers, there's a reason why, and they're not saying why. Now, there was a winding up petition filed at the court in London against Tomato back in beginning of March. That has since been settled. I think that was a creditor that basically the only way they were going to get paid was to try and get the company wound up. That has since been dismissed by the court, so they obviously got their money. That's not a problem anymore. But if you are on Tomato, just be careful, I think. We got some more from Dave. So if you there are certain tariffs have certain rules around them. So Agile has I don't think you can have Agile export if you're not an Octopus customer for import. They also have another tariff called Flux. In fact, they have two. They have Flux and Intelligent Flux. With those tariffs, you have to be on that same tariff for import and export. But if you're on Intelligent Go for import, you could be on E.ON for export. There's no issues with that at all. Yeah, so Dave's asking who I'm with. I'm with Octopus. I'm on Intelligent Octopus Go. Because of the way I import my power and store it in my batteries, for me it makes the most sense. Yeah, I could probably go to E.ON and save maybe another penny. It might make £5 difference at the end of the month, but one of the advantages of me for being on Octopus is just the tools that they make available to me. I do a little bit of coding in my spare time. Being able to access their API to pull data, to do all sorts of things is, yeah, I quite like them as a company. What's Rob saying? Sir Rob, you're not going to let me live this down, are you, Rob? Yeah, 890. Wow, and that's in March. That's madness. Oops, something's just fell over. But never mind. Let me go back to my iPad for a minute because, yeah, I want to show you the difference. If I go back to here. So if we look down at the bottom here, obviously look across at March, the green bar there is, let's make that a little bit bigger. So that's my export for 723 kilowatt hours in March. Now look across to April. So even going back 2 years, April 2023, we only did 691. So we had a stonking March this year. And as you can see there by the green bar, April, you know, we're already at 331 for April. So yeah, this weather, long may it continue. So I'm trying to switch screens at the same time as do all of this. I need 3 hands, I think, to do all of it. Okay, it looks like we've got to the bottom of all the questions. So, oh no, here we go. If anyone has the feeling, let me just bring that up there. Yeah. My biggest regret for the feed-in tariff was not having a bigger system. But back in the day, a 2 kilowatt system with no batteries cost me £15,000. So yeah, that was about as much as I could afford in the days. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap things up today. One of the things that somebody asked the other day was, you know, they like doing these Q&A type sessions. If people would like me to do them, do me a favor, leave a comment either now or later on. I'm happy to do more of these. Sometimes it's fun to just sit and chat. So if anybody wants to do that, let me know in the comments, and I will make it happen. But I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining me. Again, you guys have been absolutely phenomenal these last couple of months, and the fact that we've raised a couple of £1,000 together, and I will do everything I can to keep that pot bubbling up. I'm actually in the process of opening a high interest savings account with the bank to put it in there so we can get just a little bit more money by the end of the year. But again, appreciate you all joining me. I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you all real soon for a couple of videos that are coming out in the next few days. Take care. Bye-bye.